Okay, we begin the Mishna Yomis with Mishna Gimel in the second parak of Kerisos, sponsored by the Fisher family, Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi, Shlomo ben Avram Alevi, Pel Bas Ruvain, Nishmas David ben Chaim, Lefur Shalemer for Yomis ben Kerisos, Yaakov ben Bas Yaleh for the schus of Avram and Yom Benish ben Malki Yudis and family, by Yol Klugman and family, Lefur Shalemer for Avigdor Ayah ben Rivkin, the Bas Kerisos, Yitzhak ben Tzia Medusha, Rivka bas Shira Leah, Chana bas Shashabina, Moshe Meir ben Esther Fradel, Shendel Tzipora Zisel bas Sarah, Rachel bas Sarah, Rachel bas Rivka, Aaron ben Sarah, Nachman Yaakov ben Sarah, Yochai ben Ruchama, Meir ben Chaya Sarah. They should all have a refuah shalema, Yisrael Shachai Yisrael. Chamisha Mevian Carbon Echad al Averis Harba. 5 cases. We bring one carbon even for multiple acts of sin. The chamisha mevian carbon oil v'yored, and 5 bring a sliding scale carbon. That if you have money, you bring an animal. If not, you bring bird offerings. And in certain cases, you even have an allowance to bring a mincha, a meal offering. Elu mevian carbon echad al averis harba. The following bring one carbon, even if they do multiple crimes. Habal shivcha bias harba. Remember, we said that's the oshim shivcha charufa. If a shivcha charufa was assigned, was necharefes to an eved ivri, and a man sleeps with her, even if he sleeps with her multiple times, he only brings one oshim. The nazir shnitma tumas harba, a nazir that's tamei many times, even if he was tamei and he counted 7 days, and he became tamei again, and he became tamei again, he only brings one carbon nazir tamei. If somebody warns his wife not to be closeted in with many men, not just one man, but he warns her about many men, and she closets herself in with many of these men, he has to bring, as part of the Saita ceremony, a minchas knois, and even though it's many men, he only has to bring one mincha. A mitzayra that had leprosy was healed, but before he brought his karbanas, he got another leprosy. He brings only one set of karbanas. Now, hevi tziparav v'nisnaga. But if he already brought his bird offerings, and then he got a new nega, then loy alulay. Then he has to bring a new carbon. Excuse me. Now this is a different halacha. Excuse me. We know that there is a carbon for a rich Messiah and a carbon for a poor Messiah. The poor Messiah could bring bird offerings. So, hevi tziparav, you have to stop here. Hevi tziparav in isnaga. Even if he brought his bird offerings and got a new nega, he still only has to bring one set of karbanos. Now, this next part is something new. When he brings the birds, that's not the cutoff of whether he's rich or poor. The cutoff is when he brings his sin offering. At the time that he brings his sin offering, if he's rich, then he has to bring a rich man's carbon. If he's poor, he brings a poor man's carbon. Rabbi Yehuda says the determining factor is what he is, when he brings his guilt offering. Now there's a 5th case of where a person brings multiple karbanas for one crime or one act, and that's Isha Sheyol the Vlodois Harbe, a woman that has many miscarriages. Hipila b'seich shmainim nekeva. If, let's say, she was mapel during the 80 days, because for nekeva she has 14 days of dam tar, then 60 days of dam tameh. If she has a miscarriage during the 80 days, and then v'chazere pila b'sek shmeinim nekeva, and then during that new 80 days, for the second miscarriage, she miscarries again, or v'amapelas ta'imim, or she miscarries twins, she only brings one carbon. Rabbi Yehuda says if she has a miscarriage during the 80 days, it doesn't count at all. So then when she has a new miscarriage after the 80 days, that counts as a new one and needs a new set of karbanos. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Mevia ala Rishon for the first miscarriage, Ve'ena Mevia ala Sheni, because the one that she had during the 80 days doesn't count. But then, since it doesn't start a new count, Mevia ala Shlishi, she brings for the third miscarriage a carbon, but Ve'ena Mevia ala Revi, but then she doesn't bring a fourth one because it's within the 80 days of the third one. Now, Elu Mevi'in carbon Elu B'Yared. The following bring a sliding scale carbon depending on wealth, animal, bird offerings, or even a meal offering. Al Shmias HaKol, that's a case of an oath of testimony where we put somebody to an oath and he denies knowing testimony. If he lied, then he brings a carbon Elu B'Yared. Val Bitus V'Sayim, or a false oath of utterance, Val Tumas Mikdash Ukadashav, and for Tumas Mikdash and Kadashav, Vayoledes, a woman that gives birth, Vamatzayra. Now, Uma bein Shivcha lebein Kol ha'arayos. What's the difference between a Shivcha to an Eved Ivri and other immorality? Shaloi Shavsa lahen, they don't have the same loy ba'aynish, not in the penalty, v'loy b'karbon, and not in the carbon. Shekolo arayos, other immorality is an isukaris, so the carbon is a chatas. V'ashivcha, and the shivcha is ba'asham, is a guilt offering. Kol arayos b'nekeva. All arayos, the animal that's brought is a female, because a chatas is a female. The shivcha is an ashim, which is a zachar, which is a male. Kol ha'arayos echad ish ve'echad ish shavin b'makas b'karbon. Both the man and the woman are the same with the punishment. Let's say it's adultery. So if there is asra and arayos, asra and edim, it's the death penalty. And if it's b'shaygeg, it's a carbon. Ub'shivcha lo hishve es ha'ish le'isha b'makas v'lo es ha'isha le'ish b'karbon. Because the woman by a shivcha charufa gets malchus, while the man does not. And by the carbon, the man brings the ashim shivcha charufa, but not the woman. Kala aroyis also bam es ha'ma'ora kagaymer. The din by all aroyis is that hara, initial touching of the genitals or initial penetration, counts as the aveira itself. The chayav al kol bia bia, and you're chayav for every bia. Zeh chaymer hechmir b'shivcha. By a shivcha charufa, however, you're not chayav for initial penetration, and you're not chayav for multiple bias, multiple karbanos. But there is a chumrah by shivcha charufa that there isn't by other arayas. Because for Ashim Shifcha Harufa, you bring a carbon even b'mezid. We make deliberate, like unwitting, which is not the case by other arayas where you're only chayiv b'shaygeg. Okay, that was a long Mishnah. We want to thank you for joining us and wish you a wonderful Shabbos. This wasn't a triple crown, this was a 4 crown.